I wanted to talk to you about one of the things that I've used as a yardstick that's helped me a lot in the past and is continuing to help me in the future. And I call it front of the front office. Kind of bizarre, huh? How can you be in front of the front office? What does that mean? Well, it just shows you how much technology is changing the way we live our lives and the way it affects the way business does business. Front of the front office is really simple. It's when you put technology in front of the traditional front office. For example, doing electronic check-in at an airport. Not too long ago, the only way you could check in at the airport was to go to a desk. Now, for me, I don't want to go anywhere near a desk. The same when you might go to a hotel. Increasingly now, hotels have the same sort of thing. You can go to a kiosk in the hotel, get your room key, go straight to your room, and not have to go to the desk. Yeah, and to me, this is the way we're living right now. And there's so much of this happening. For example, Ryanair in Europe has a system whereby now you have to pay to get manual check-in. So if you check in online, you have 15 days before the flight to check in online. It's free. If you go to the airport and you go to the desk, it costs you 20 UK pounds. That's what, 32 bucks of American currency, something like that, to check in. That's crazy. But it isn't crazy because pretty soon everybody started to stop paying the 20 pounds. They all decided we'd do electronic check-in. So now they don't have to employ those people on the desks and so on and so forth. The reason for this, why is that happening? What's the reasoning for this? Well, basically, if you have front to the front office, so in other words, if all of my check-in is done electronically, then can the system fail? No, it can't. You can't go down. When you had a front office, you had a person. You had someone there who could talk to the customer, who could fix things, do things. Now it doesn't. What happens when all that stops working? Would Ryanair be able to cope if their system went down and no one could do electronic check-in? Everybody's at the airport, they're doing electronic check-in, it stops working. What would happen at Chicago, American Airlines terminal, if you couldn't do electronic check-in? You couldn't cope anymore. IT has to change its whole act. And that's one of the things I've been working with companies a lot lately, saying, look, 99.9 something is not good enough. If you aim at 99.9, you're aiming at failure, not at success. We have to change the way we think. We have to aim at 100%. Because if I've got my whole business dependent upon you, you better be there and it better be working. There's no chance of anything else. So it's a whole change in mindset. IT, particularly service management, has to learn that targeting negatives means negative performance. So for example, this is a silly example, but it does make it sense. Imagine you're going to check in at an airline. And when you got there was a banner. And the banner said, our target is that 99.9% of our aeroplanes do not crash. Would you go anywhere near checking in? No, of course not, because they've just told you they don't care if they crash. They're planning for them to crash. And then IT goes and says, we'll do 99.99 of your ticket availability. No, it's got to be 100. You have to aim at 100. So one of the things I love doing is working with people and learning to understand the way we do things differently, to help change our mindsets, to start thinking of the future. For example, another example would be help desks. Very often help desks is the percentage of calls solved on the first call, or the percentage of incidents solved on the first call. And that's usually 70% of all incidents have to be solved on the first call. No. What we have to do is stop the incidents. What we have to say is we want to minimize those solved on the first call by eliminating all the ones we can solve on the first call. Again, aiming at a different set of parameters, not aiming at how quickly you pick up the telephone, which is important, but aiming at not having to pick up the telephone. That's the answer. And those kind of lectures, talks, working together. That's what it's all about, getting the message across that the IT mindset has to change.